this with you. It's a nugget, and I do this every time at every seminar, just so you can figure this out. Time management. Time management. No one wants to have one of those happen. Okay. So a brand new spool of fluorocarbon, and you go, holy crap! You just spooled this reel. Don't start picking. Lightly touch the top. Okay. Just lightly touch the top, and reel it up. Okay, once you get it kind of reeled in, then you can start pulling out the slack. Don't put your thumb on it. You can put your thumb on the side, but don't put your thumb on the line. Okay? And your line usually comes out on the loop like that. Okay? It's a simple concept. It saves you time on the water. You go out there and you go, and you go, again, you overcast your reel. First thing you do is go, oh my God, and you start tugging on it. Don't do it. What happened was is the outside line went out. It went out and it stopped because nothing was pulling it out. It stopped. So the next level stacked on underneath of that, and the next one stacked underneath of that, and the next one stacked underneath of that, and the next one, and so on. So what you do is you hold the top, and you reel the bottom one tight, the next one tight, the next one tight, the next one tight. You reel it up from the inside out. If they don't eat the worms, or the crankbaits and jerk baits and stuff like that, and you're hell bent on throwing a plastic baited worm, switch over from a dart head worm, Texas rig worm, to like a shaky head type worm. I don't know how many pages of ink I've written on throwing a dart head, but I can tell you this, is a dart head is second class to a shaky head. Just straight second class. I've been with guys and shown them the difference between a shaky head and a dart head, and it's like, hello, you might want to start. Sometimes these fish are what they are. They trigger on one bait versus another, you know, and you get the old shaky head or the dart head where you got the dart head, it's on the ground, you shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, and it's doing this. It's basically doing that. You hit a rock and you pull on it, it lifts up. If you got a good shaky head, if you got a ball head, it goes. Really, think about it. It's the angle of the head. What it does, you lift it up, it does that, and you keep going. Shaky head does this the whole time. Whether they like it or not, those fish can't stand it. It's like putting that big piece of pie out there on the table right after you've eaten all this turkey. It just calls your name, and it moves so slow and tantalizing that next thing you know, you're down on it with a fork stabbing it, and it's a terrible thing. It really is. But
what size shaky head? What's that?
Anything to maintain contact. 3/16 is the lightest. 1/4 ounce is good. But I'm making a 3/8 and a half ounce for a little bit bigger worm. But yeah, 1/4 ounce at 3/16. And just something to maintain a firm contact with the bottom. And there's a reason for that. And I'll tell you why. Is versus something super duper light that does this. Even though it's on the bottom, it just doesn't make the same noise, see? So it's resonating off of there, but you take this and it barely has to move. But I gotta bear down on this thing and rub it hard to get any noise out of it. Does that make sense? So the harder I can make this bait touch the bottom, the more sound resonates out of it. Especially if you get into the rocky stuff, gravelly stuff. It just works and walks, and the lead makes a big difference. About jigs, I mean, we've thrown jigs for years and years and years, but I'm starting to move to different things. Less wiggle, more waggle. So if it moves, I like it doing this. This doesn't excite me anymore for a jig. I do throw it. I throw it when the fish take a long look at the bait, and you'll see them. Couple of techniques that I do is the standard. I jerk, 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 reel, jerk, jerk, reel, jerk, 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 reel, and then my arm's done, but I keep doing it, and I just do it all day long. And then there's the other one where you cast it out there, and there's no tight in the line, it's just a big loop, and you just slap the line. And you half a turn. And you don't feel the bait ever, but I'll be damned. You can take one of these baits that's supposed to dive, let's say it dives 10 foot, 12 foot. You can have these things dive into 15 foot just by slapping slack line, not jerking on the bait, because you're not pulling it up. You just snap the line and it shoots down. And every time one of these goes a little bit, it just digs. And it just does that, almost straight down. I mean, to the point where you're snagging on the bottom on long points. You can really work them out and deep. So that's a tip. I'm just going to tell you, don't throw that or do that on Shasta in the springtime. Don't do it. Spoons right now. You guys throw spoons? Spoons. Spoons is it right now. I mean, you should really be looking at spoons. You pop them hard. Do you put a swivel on it, leader swivel? Yeah. Have you got on a good catfish bite yet on them?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Trout too.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing because you can jerk on anything with these things. Big squawfish, but the fish are starting to gag up, and you can start really crushing these things. Simple Hopkins spoon is it. Back when Team was big, we worked on developing some of what was once the offshore spoons into the more smaller profiled 4-ounce spoons for the lake, and basically they're just taking them and flopping them, just belly flopping them, hardly lifting the bait up off the bottom. So a lot of times you get out there and you're doing this thing, and you'll start noticing you're catching them on the sides and sometimes up around the gill plate. They ain't biting. They're looking at it, and you're just snagging them. But if you drop it on the bottom, put it there, and just start flopping that bait, just lift it enough like that, you'll find that your bites will go from this all of a sudden to just boom, and they'll just crush it. It's amazing what a spoon will do when it's just flopping. And totally different. I've gone this time of year, Shasta and Orville, from a red hot spoon bite where I was just almost every drop catching a fish. Went back the second day of the tournament, pulled in there, see the fish all over the graph, just jerk and jerk and jerk. It's like, oh my God, where'd these fish go? They're there. And my partner casts out the back, and he's out there, he doing one of these things, reels up, it's like, oh crap, got a fish. It's like, bing, light switch went on, fired it out there, let it sit. Tailspins. Guys throwing tailspins at all? You guys like tailspins? I gotta do tailspin, it's just bad. Bad thing about a tailspin, well, unlike the spoon, a lot of times you can get them in there, especially when they're eating them deep. It is what it is. It's going to work its way out and it's going to hook them. But a tailspin, that treble hook just gets them on the tongue and in the gills. Almost, it's like every single time. And then you're bringing up fish. They're bleeding. It's like, I mean, I fished at the Bass Federation here, a couple weeks ago. Fired out there, caught a fish, and every one of them came up and they were bleeding. It's like, oh. I mean, I literally took the fish, threw them back in, because I knew I wasn't going to keep them in the live well. They weren't going to make it in my live well. They had better off in the lake. I just put the tailspin down. I mean, I was catching fish. Tube is a pretty cool thing. I really like it. It does everything that a guy wants it to do. But if I take that tube and I put it on this shaky head, it's a totally different animal. The bite that I get on it is totally different. It stands straight up. The bite's so much firmer. Like when you go to Oroville and you go down there and you go, and then you, oh, that's bite. This is, yeah, they don't. I mean, am I wrong or what? That is. This is it's up. They just come up, they hit it, and they turn. It's just you know you're big, and it's funny. I mean, I fished with Tim, on Orville. It was one of the tougher bites for everybody except for Aaron Cole. Apparently he didn't have a hard time feeling the bites, but everybody else had a hard time feeling the bite. I mean, it was really super soft and subtle. I was throwing a shaky head and a dart head. And the shaky head outfished the dart head 2-1 on that lake because of the bite that was going on. I was just missing fish. I was missing fish on a dart head versus the shaky head. But I've started doing even the bigger tubes. I've been throwing on a shaky head now, and it tends to stand the bait up more in their face. They get a better bite. I use a 4-aught hook, so there's plenty there. I don't have to worry about it snagging up in all the little roots and stuff like that. It still has the weedless, but as soon as you set the hook, it's all loaded in.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. We appreciate you making the drive out here.
Sure.